7G, discussion of Chapter 149 Property Maintenance Code.
A copy of the Property Maintenance Code, Chapter 149 of the City Code is in your hands. I believe it might have been in your packet the last time. In particular, one of the things that we were asked about is our enforcement of this code. I did talk a little bit with John about the use of this code and how this code has been used in the past. Particularly, it is our main structural active code for weeds, grass on properties. It is also the active code, for instance, when an individual does not take care of snow on the walkways on their particular piece of property. It's also the code, for instance, when people don't trim their trees that hang over the sidewalks or the alleys or streets as well. It's enforceable for that purpose as well. It does have some enforcement parameters that have been used in the past for infestation issues. Those are the main uses in the past for this code. It also has stipulations in here for the purposes of dead or dying trees that may be a concern inside of the property. It also has provisions within it for the purposes of general maintenance of the property itself, including fences as well as a portion of that, and proper steps and walkways as well. It is also an enforcement, within its enforcement powers are animal waste left on the grounds, particularly in the right-of-way and the walkway locations as well. John, did you want to make any other comments about where it's enforced, how it's enforced, anything of that nature?
No, I mean, it's pretty much a complaint-based, or for some of it. A lot of it we do drive around, and I know the house thing is one of them. That's one we have not, never painting on our houses, not enforced in the past due to not receiving any complaints.
What's the action? Is it a fine or is it a...
It'll start out with a 7-day notice to abate. And if that's not taken, then it's usually sent to the court system, and they're usually given 30 days to clean it. And I've seen before, whether it's not done then they give them more days. I've not seen too many fines from the court.
Because it's the court's decision.
Court, yeah. You can enforce it all you want. The court doesn't do anything for you.
Yeah.
So like say I don't scoop the snow off my lawn, you give me 7 days to do it. You can issue me a fine, I can go.
Well, and like say snow and tall grass, a lot of that we'll do is we have the city just do it and it gets put on your taxes. And that's something we do a lot, especially with the tall grass, and there's some sidewalks, but tall grass is a lot. We get all these people from out of town, California, buying all these houses. They don't maintain or mow the grass, so we have Tom go up and mow them, and they get assessed an hourly rate to their house taxes.
This code has some overlapping capabilities with other codes within our ordinance set. For instance, this one does discuss trash and debris on the property. However, we also have junk and junk vehicles code that kind of overlaps a little bit with the enforcement of this one. Most of the overlapping enforcement apparatus of this code is with planning and zoning, which would be found under Chapter 145. You might remember there was an issue about a year and a half ago where we had some hearings, particularly pertaining to some properties and whether or not their status had been abandoned. In that particular case, typically one of the other areas of that 145 would either be the proper enforcement in some of those cases, or possibly Chapter 149, depending on the degree, of course. Typically, this one is considered a lesser degree enforcement than the P&Z codes. By the time it meets the P&Z codes, it's usually a health and safety matter at that point.
I did ask John to give me a list of the houses that he felt needed some addressing of issues such as peeling paint, shingles missing, holes in the roof, things like that. I have a list of 22. And I did talk to Carol Broen. She is the president of the board for Partners for Progress. And we'd like an opportunity to visit with these people and find out, is there something we can do to help you? If we get, for instance, if they need new paint, if we can get people to help volunteer, can you buy the paint? See if we can't work through it that way, whether if they don't have the money, what good does it do to find them? So we're going to try and work on this in a different manner. Curtis?
The public record that's sitting in front of you with the list of properties and what's wrong with them, could you read them for the benefit of the public, please?
Well, there's no names on it. It's
That's fine. Just the addresses and what's wrong with them.
12,
We can give you a copy of it.
Yeah.
It's a whole list.
So you don't want to read them in public?
Well, I mean, giving you a copy and reading them, how's that any different? I mean, if you want to
Well, I'm not-
read through them.
1202 Lozier, paint peeling, 306 South 13th Street, shingles missing, 402 South 10th, paint peeling, 408 South 10th, paint peeling, 510 Platt Street, hole in garage, paint, 302 South 6th, paint peeling, 307 South 7th, paint peeling, 311 Leonard, paint peeling, 300 Leonard, paint peeling. I think I'm going to stop right now because I think it's unfortunate that I read this before I have an opportunity to talk to these people. And that was my whole thing on this. I was going to visit with them in person and see how we could help them. Curtis?
Are you going to routinely send someone around town looking for stuff that's wrong with houses?
No, this was just, people were asking about how we could handle this because there are some that really need attention.
Could you tell me whose idea it was to send someone around town looking for problems with houses?
Yes.
Where the idea originated?
Yes, that was the idea. To see if not to fine them, not to charge them, but to see if there was some way, if they wanted our help, that we could help them in some way.
Could you tell me who initiated that action? Name of the person?
Yes, I did.
So you're only going to read half the list?
Pardon me?
You're only going to read half the list then?
No, I'm going to go ahead and read the rest of it.
Awesome.
But I think it's out of order to do it this way, because I believe it would have been better had I visited with these people first and said, is there any way we can help you? And that was the idea of this whole thing. 607 Leonard, paint peeling, 207 South 3rd, hole in the garage roof, 108 North 3rd, excessive paint peeling, 909 Phillips, excessive paint peeling, 1400 Hobbs, excessive paint peeling, 405 North 11th, excessive paint peeling, 915 excessive paint peeling, 913 excessive paint peeling, 1000 Main excessive paint peeling, 1100 Main excessive paint peeling, 211 South State Street excessive paint peeling, 110 South 14th excessive paint peeling, and 1219 Audubon excessive paint peeling.
Now, I would also probably like to add here, without jumping into anything here, that's probably not a complete list.
No, it's not a complete list. It was just, she asked me to make a quick list. I mean, a quick whip around town one day and just jotted some down just to give her an idea that is not a full list. That was just to give an idea if there was some need for Barb to have some people go around and see if they could fix up these places.
Right. The whole idea of the thing was to try to be a partner with these people, if they needed a partner to get their place painted, to help them get back on track.
There was no talk of charges or anything with this.
No.
This was just...
And if they, in fact, if they couldn't afford the paint, we thought maybe we could get some kind of a grant or work with a paint company or do something in order to help them get their home back in good order. So that was the whole idea.
I heard a comment today, and I don't know the whole story behind it, but I understood maybe at one time that the chamber had something similar to a paint program for people.
I don't have any,
Somebody just mentioned it to me
Information about that.
today.
That was several years ago.
I don't have any knowledge of that, but I know that the Partners for Progress was very open to be a helping hand if they could. And if the people don't want to do it, we're not going to force it on them. It's just an act, supposed to be an act of kindness in order to help them and help our town. Okay? Any other questions?
No, I think it's a wise idea, Barb, and, see if we can get them on board, see what we can do to help, and see if we can get some of these properties, kind of painted up, shut up.
That's one thing I've been thinking about doing is talking, they have the yard of the month. It'd be nice if we had the men's club and maybe sponsor a block or an area of the month. But there are some neighborhoods that, I know my neighborhood, if you get one dandelion, you're totally. So,
Okay, do we have more discussion on G? Discussion of Chapter 149 Property Maintenance Code. Do you have any other questions or discussion?
You gonna get back to us here?
Sure,
or something?
I'll report back to you.
Okay.
My idea was that I was going to start down this line and actually go visit with these people on a personal basis to see
I think that's a good idea.
what they felt. Maybe they don't think their house needs paint. And if they don't,
And that could
we're
be too.
certainly
That was
not
just,
going to
that was
force
my
it.
opinion.
Right.
Driving around, I was not saying that it was against the code. It was just.
We know that there's a
quick
lot of
drive.
single elderly
Yeah.
people living in some of these homes that either don't have the resource or don't know who to get, or we just thought that we could be a helping hand if they wanted it. So by no means are we going to force anything on to any of these people that I listed. Okay? Any further, Curtis?
Do you have a date on which you anticipate being done with your personal visits?
No, I don't. I have another job that I have to do, but I will go when I can and talk to these people, and hopefully it'll be while the weather's still nice outside, so we can get a plan going.